Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, May 9th. We are on the European account and we need to get 2 mage victories and play 10 overload cards. We've got somebody named Scope on the chat saying go arena. Ha ha ha. No, I don't think so. I'll go in here and just see if there's a free entry to Arena, but unless there was, I'm not paying 150 gold to play on my European account that has no real cards and no real chance of winning. But I mean, even if I did have a chance of winning, it would just be wasting my time and not work towards this. I'm already struggling on the Tavern Bro. I save up gold for card pack openings. I don't spend them on arena runs where I'd waste the money. So I'm just gonna do a hunter attack on this Tavern Brawl. This Tavern Brawl is, I think, by far the worst one yet. It is incredibly slow, incredibly random. It's based on this Easter-themed Noble Garden expanse that has no business being done on May 9th. Scope says maybe go arena nice. Go arena nice. You can complete quests in arena too. It's like, nope, not doing arena. I don't do arena runs. I've tried them before and they don't win. I'm not that good of a player, and I don't pay enough attention because I cover video game news, such as this article that needs to load right now. This Eurogame article, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild mod aims to make Zelda the star. I very much would like to see them. They should have done this a long time ago, but I would have very much appreciated if they had made Zelda games and Ganon games on top of Link games, or perhaps make one game where you play some sections as Ganon, who would have been a powerful magic user and fighter, or you play as Zelda, who is a wise puzzle solver and maybe healing magic ability. And then you play as Link, who is the adventurer with the sword skills and a small amount of magic, if any, and usually only through the process of using items to do magic. So the idea, I think, should have happened a long time ago. There was a Philips CDI game, however, where you did, in one version of it, play as Zelda. But I think that's the only game you've ever played is Zelda. And so this mod now just kind of changes the skin of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So you're playing as Zelda, but really you look like Zelda, but all actions are exactly the same. Which, that doesn't really change the game anyway, and it, I believe, doesn't make any sense also in Breath of the Wild, because I believe there was a very specific and real reason why Zelda couldn't have been the main character in Breath of the Wild. And I assume this mod only works if you're playing the Wii U build on the PC emulator. Yes, it does. So then they also had fans record new voice models and such. And I guess they're converting a lot of the costumes. So this project is really trying to do something interesting. But it's really something Nintendo should have just done. It's really, really stupid argument for Nintendo to even try and say that that kids these days would not play as a girl, particularly since kids were playing as a girl with Samus Aran the whole time for decades and decades ago. And honestly, you could just have it be pick one or the other at the beginning of the game. Like, let's see. I'm watching all these trailers to see how this goes on this mod. In a lot of ways, though, one of my complaints as somebody who hasn't played Breath of the Wild is the fact that you are constantly changing weapons and changing outfits. Nothing seems like it's super important or special. The one thing that seems like there is most focused on in Breath of the Wild is your stamina bar and possibly cooking, which there's way too much emphasis, it seems like, on that. And I would much prefer that they had just had Link in his standard outfit until he had defeated a specific dungeon to get another outfit. Like, it devalues the idea of iron boots or fire clothing or anything when there's so many of them and they're used interchangeably and infrequently. Like, I feel like Zelda Breath of the Wild became too open world, and it becomes something like all of the bad elements of the Skyrim. Skyrim's very good, but there certainly are points where you're just so off the rails and you're just doing whatever you want. Apparently this mod also has Zelda from Wind Waker and the boat from Wind Waker modded into it, and that's interesting, I suppose, too. Again, these are things that could have easily been added. They even added some kind of Ganondorf motorcycle. Unless there's a motorcycle in the original game. Let's see. Give a beast 3. Seems very silly to make a mod for a game that could only be put in the game if you're emulating it. But it's not the first time that's happened either. So we got the card pack. Let's hope. We got a legendary in the last recording, so I wouldn't be upset if I got another legendary. There's an epic. There's 2 rares. Give me a legendary on top of that. No such luck. And it's a Murloc. So hopefully all of those are new. Or most of those are new. Nope. Only one of those was new, and it wasn't the epic. So that gives me 150 dust. And we'll see the one card new that we had. It's here. Just another armor smith. Good. So not a bad card to get. And that leaves me now still with 2 victories for mage and 10 overload cards. We'll start with the overload cards. I imagine I have a overload deck on wild. Let's just play that. And in one game, hopefully play that. Next game we have on Steam is called Shopkeeper Simulator VR. It looks like it's an asset flip. It's asking for $5.99 early access. And yeah, there's nothing I like about what I'm seeing here. It's very non-realistic, ugly 3D graphics to play a VR game where you're basically being a shopkeeper slash standing at a register, grabbing things behind the register type game. So you're literally doing an actual job, and that does not seem like something you would want to do. Like, this is a terrible VR thing, and it's the only thing this company's got on Steam. So let's move on. And if I do this and then do this, next game we have is called TYR Chains of Valhalla. Let's see, it's from a developer who has nothing else on Steam. It's 10% off for $9.89. It's a indie action adventure platformer. It has a very attention-grabbing intro. It's a full-on anime-esque trailer intro, which probably don't need that on your trailer on Steam. Just jump into the gameplay so people can see it. It is like a running platforming shooting game. See, all-time peak of 5 people. It says it's rated teen. I'm not sure I believe that. That it was actually rated. Let's see. Apparently it was a Kickstarter product. There's no reviews for it. The weird thing here is I don't know if I should give this game a shot or not. And I kick off so many games for looking bad or being cheaply made. And since this one has some visual appeal to it, I don't want to immediately dismiss this game. So many can be immediately dismissed, but this one actually I think I will wishlist. Of course, before I buy it, I will double check to see if anybody else has played it or reviewed it. And anything with no reviews, I think probably shouldn't roll the dice on it. It certainly is asking a lot of money from an unknown developer. But at the very least, they have done a good job on their first release on Steam. At least that's what it looks like. This Onway Studio, ENNUI Studio, which is an odd name for a studio, certainly, because that kind of implies that they will be listless and uncertain about themselves. But yeah, I can't say this might very well be a very good game. We'll just have to wait and see. Scope said nice play. Thank you, Scope, on the chat. Next article we have from Eurogamer is you'll need to pay Nintendo Switch's online subscription to back up your saves. Launches with a library of 20 NES games. A lot of talk and counterpoints about them not using the Virtual Console name. I think it's for the most part so that there's no expectation that anything you had on Virtual Console is going to still be available on the Switch. I think instead what you're getting is a system that is much more built around the idea of a rental service. uh, instead of a you purchase it and you own it forever service. Let's see. The ability to back up your Switch game saves to the cloud has long been requested. Also, you're going to be using your cell phone app for matchmaking and chat with this online service, from what I've heard. Let's see. The subscription launch, the Nintendo Switch's subscription launches at some point in September and costs relatively cheap, $20 for 12 months. Or if you want to buy in 3 months, it's $8, or 1 month, it's $4. There, I believe, is also a family pack that people should consider to give multiple profiles. The 20 games you'll be getting is Soccer, Tennis, Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, Balloon Fight, Ice Climber, Dr. Mario's, The Legend of Zelda, and Super Mario Bros. 3. And with the exception of Super Mario Bros. 3 and The Legend of Zelda, every single one of those games is basically a arcade game with less than 20 screens in any of it. As Super Mario Bros. Has more screens, but you're talking some really old, really simplistic games in that case. There's no new option for voice chat, meaning you're stuck using the separate Nintendo Switch online app through your smartphone, or you could use Skype or Discord or Messenger for free. That's your gamer editorializing it. And online multiplayer, you'll need online subscriptions to continue playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon, ARMS, and Smash Brothers when it launches over the internet. Which, that seems like a mistake, certainly. Nintendo should have let the games that were the first generation online games be free forever, and they are rightfully going to get sued. Because I guarantee you on the box, it's going to say online multiplayer for people who bought the games for Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon. And if they lose that ability, then Nintendo is in violation of at least Australia's consumers protection laws, if not most countries' consumer protection laws, because you cannot sell something on the box and then take it away. That's bait and switch. That's fraud. And so inherently, the lawsuit is already, I'm sure, in the process for that. You just can't do that. I guarantee you it says online play. And the assumption and the way it was sold was that online play was going to be free. So Nintendo's done a really poor job on rolling out its online service that it knew it needed to have, and it knew it needed to have that on day one, and decided to still release the Switch. They've also failed miserably, from what I hear, on the Nintendo Labo. That 70% of all of that stock did not sell. Nobody wanted it. Not super surprised there, but I'm surprised the numbers are as high as they are, actually, if we're gonna be honest. But yeah, Nintendo's not been doing a good job at keeping its fans happy. PC Gamer has an article called Lamplight City is a detective adventure where it's okay to fail. Not every case has to be solved. Let's see, is there a release date for this game? It's a point-and-click adventure with the flat 2D graphics. It looks fine for what a point-and-click adventure could look like these days. It's got a pixely 16-bit type resolution, very zoomed in. But the question and the problem with all of PC Gamer articles is inherently they don't bother to tell you a release date, because there is no release date, and they're just hyping you up for some game that isn't anywhere close to being released. Yeah, I'm scrolling through this, and there's no mention of a price, no mention of a release date. Unless the game is already available in there. Let's see. But I guess that does get PC Gamer more views too, because they certainly... Yeah, I had to click onto their website to then click from the developer's website to a Steam page where it just says coming soon. And I'll wishlist it, sure. It looks like an interesting game. But now is not the time to talk about a game that has no release date and at best at best we kind of know they're committed to releasing it, but we don't know the price or anything like that. Gamatsu has an article. Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection details training in Versing's mode. The 30th Anniversary Collection is 12 iconic titles that are have each added to the legendary fighting game series. So it's Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter Championship Edition, Street Fighter Hyper Fighting, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter Alpha, Alpha 2, Alpha 3, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, which would be almost, I believe, all 2D graphics. It is a rather interesting experience that I'd recommend anybody try to play the original Street Fighter game and then play Street Fighter 2 and then play like Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting and see how over the years Street Fighter just got faster and faster and faster. And Street Fighter 1 in particular is an incredibly slow game. It's ridiculously slow. It feels nothing like what you would expect from Street Fighter 2 or Hyper Fighting or Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, by the way, is probably the lowest version of Street Fighter you'd ever actually want to play. And Street Fighter 3, you probably do better doing Third Strike over Second Impact because the changes often are very minimal, other than until you become an expert in each game. And so having a collector's edition pack like this where you could play all these, assuming that they are all emulated perfectly, which is a 100% demand, and this is for the Switch, although Gamatsu has misspelled the Switch and they typed SIWTCH. So there is a slight concern that maybe it won't run perfectly on the Switch. But if it does, I don't know, because then you've got another problem. If you play this game on the Switch, you're not playing it on the right kind of controller. So if there's a PC version of the, what was this called, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, I'd suggest it. But if you play it on the Switch, you're going to be playing it on a small screen. You're going to have to get some kind of Bluetooth fight stick to work with it so you're playing it right. Yeah, otherwise you're going to have a very weird Joy-Con experience playing Street Fighter games, and it's just going to be not close to a realistic representation of playing Street Fighter. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense to release on the Switch. But I could see why they would do it just to get some money. So there's our Overload cards. Let's now play Tempo Mage and try a little ranked, since we've got a ton of news still. Next game we have on Steam is called First Winter. It's from a developer who's made nothing else on Steam. $3.99. It is an indie gore violent horror retro game. And it seems like you're in some lacking quality graphics world, something close to Alone in the Dark. It's just really, really pixely, really, really ugly looking gameplay in every screenshot. But oddly, the trailer doesn't seem anywhere as bad, but it now it does. Okay. Man, it's almost like they had 3D assets and then they intentionally pixelated them. This looks really, really bad. And this isn't something that's an appealing, nice, like, memory in video games. Nobody was ever happy that games were pixelated in the old days. They just happened to be, or had to be. This game has an all-time peak of 6 players and 12 achievements. Let's see if we've got any reviews. 7 positive reviews, suspiciously all positive. One review says the short but sweet remake of Pacific. It won't last very long, but it's a fun experience while it lasts. Take note of little details and environment if you want to see multiple endings. I'm reading all these positive reviews, but I don't trust them. Like, let's see. In 2017, Dan Sanderson published a micro horror game called Pacific, which to his surprise was picked up and praised by popular horror YouTubers such as McCreven, Markiplier, John Wolf, Girls Gamer Gab, and Reed Wolf. Enthused by over 1.5 million views and featured in Waypoint, Vice, and IGN's 12 Awesome Games You Missed. Really? Sadly, First Winter seems like it has some historical reason to be played. I'm going to wishlist this game, but I'm almost certainly going to take it right off. The first time I look at it again, it looks horrible. And if you're going to remake your game a year later, can't you do something better? Like, if you got a little bit of attention, grab that gusto and play it. And then the real weird thing here is, if he made a game called Pacific, why can I not see a game called Pacific on Steam? Let's see. There's a game called Pacific Storm and other things that have Pacific in the name, but he must have released it for free, and now he's charging money for a remake. I still very much can't suggest that anybody else besides a YouTuber, besides somebody who might have some news reporting reason to play that game, play it. In fact, you're probably better off just watching your favorite YouTuber play it if it's already been played. Moving on, Gematsu has an article that says Soviet Union set first-person shooter Atomic Heart is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC in 2018. What kind of game is this? Let's watch the trailer. It's from a company called Mundfish. Well, this looks nice and pretty, like an actual game. It's like... It's kind of like Prey and zombies and monsters and robots going crazy and drones. It's just a little bit of everything. It kind of has a System Shock vibe to it, I would say. First person shooter, running around fighting some very unique enemies. Shooting them or bashing them in the head. This is a very interesting looking game. And why hasn't anybody else talked about Atomic Heart? It hasn't come out yet, I suppose. Well, that one is gladly going to be published on my wish list. It is the second game from this developer, the first one being Soviet Luna Park VR, which I bet is some of the same assets. It's pretty different, but they've taken what was a very similar concept, and some of it is clearly the same assets, but they've taken it from a VR game into a completely different game. And I can't really complain about somebody taking assets from one game they made and putting it in the other, particularly when you're going across that barrier of virtual reality. So yeah, Atomic Heart, keep an eye open for that one. Next game we have, let's see if this is a Chinese only game. No, it is in Japanese and English. It's called Hypersonic Speed Girl, from a developer who's made one other game called Sinran Menshushu Tactics, if I pronounce that right. This says it's an action game, and what it looks like is a pretty well polished attempt at something like Flappy Bird with a lot of collectibles. It doesn't seem like right now that there's anything else to it, so my initial impression of the game might end at that. So it's Flappy Bird levels with bullet hell enemies. So there's a time when you can shoot bullets, and there's time when you don't shoot bullets. Maybe you collect all the bullets, and that's what the collectibles are. And it is really, really fast. The idea, I suppose, is that you're going to go faster and faster and gain speed to get better scores. There's a speedometer in the lower left hand corner of all the gameplay footage. This gameplay trailer is too long. Yeah, it seems like it also might have a little bit of visual novels mixed into it, so it's a real odd combination of different gameplay styles. The bottom of this description says, this game is created by Japanese people. You can play in English, but my translation may not be very good. Fair enough, I suppose. Let's see. There's 4 positive reviews in English. Well, at least 2 of them are in English. This game, Hypersonic Speed Girl, is 10% off for $8.99. It just doesn't look like it's a high enough quality game. To be fair, this isn't such a terrible quality game that I would say it shouldn't be on Steam at all. but it is probably something I would say that should have been $2.50 at most. I can't really imagine it being any higher than that. So I'm not gonna wishlist that one. Next game we have on Steam is Paladins, which came out May 8th. Paladins, most people probably have heard of, but it's now out of early access, I believe. Free-to-play multiplayer first-person shooter that I don't think is going to probably get too much support for very long. It's from the developers of Smite, Hi-Res Studios. So it is a AAA type product. It's just the problem is, well, here's the problem in a nutshell. The all-time peak of people playing Paladin was 60,743 people. The peak today was 27,856, so half of its all-time peak it was the peak today, which is still pretty good. And right now there's 18,443 people online. It's just not enough people. Too many people playing Fortnite. That totally makes sense. Apparently you get some kind of Team Fortress 2 skin if you play Paladins long enough. That might intrigue some people. But the first review, without even filtering to not recommended, is a not recommended video. Let's see. This is a really long review. Let's see. The last sentence on this. I haven't experienced. There's. It says, no way I could recommend this game to anyone until Hi-Res starts putting actual effort into the game to make it at least passable as a fully released game. So I imagine Paladins, for a lot of people, does come off as it's not polished, it's not a finished product, even though it is out of early access. Here's a not recommended. It says Paladins is a very direct competitor to Overwatch, so much so that it becomes the chief issue. In short, Paladins is ridden with balance problems with funky hitboxes and much less polish. I suppose the one benefit of the game is it's free to play, but even that is plagued by play to win mechanisms that allow the players to put money into the game and benefit more. And yeah, I don't think anybody's going to play Paladins. By the way, the bundle for all the DLC for this free-to-play game is $129.97. That is rather insane amount of money for DLC. Like, an insanely high amount of DLC. So, yes, I would skip Paladins. If you want to play Overwatch, pay the money and play Overwatch. Lemon Lover came on the chat and said, good night, Rydo, until Friday. Alright, see you Friday. I'm going to go late tonight a little bit just to get all this news done. And frankly, the struggle with victories. It's just... I'm playing a tempo mage, which in theory I think means I'm supposed to control the tempo and just slowly chip away at the enemy, but I'm not sure I really know how to play that way. Honestly, I'm too aggro. I definitely know that. I just always push forward, always try to do more damage. Just go ahead and play this. Game Master has an article, VR Mystery Adventure Tokyo Chronos has been announced for the PlayStation VR, Steam VR, and the Oculus. Further details due at the Anime Expo 2018. Let's see. There's... Wow, they're listing the people working on the project. Which I guess for the Western audience, the producer for Sword Art Online is going to be working on it, and LAM will be the illustrator. There's one illustration of anime girl. She looks interesting and intriguing, but certainly a lot more detail needs to be known about this VR mystery game, Tokyo Chronos. It could be anything and everything at the moment. That's the problem with the Japan in particular in how they release their games, is it's just little drip of information, at least for the most part, even though PC Gamer kind of writes too many articles about games that don't have any actual news to say about them. Most companies, most reviewers wait until they have a price or release date and actually some screenshots and content to actually speak of. Alright. I'm gonna hit this guy and then play this guy and then see if we can do this. And attack. Gamma Sutra has an article. Outposts SOS shifts focus away from survival, includes Battle Royale mode. The survival game SOS has scrapped its survival mechanics this week and adapted a Battle Royale mode, switching over to the title SOS Battle Royale and adding to the trend of developers, including the free-for-all model alongside the original game. I have never heard of SOS or Outpost, but that certainly is a sign of the times. We already talked about that. Conan Exiles is officially out of early access now. It came out May 8th. It is rated right now mostly positive with 77% of 1,317 users. It's from Funcom, who made Dreamfall: The Longest Journey and The Park and not a lot of other things. Conan Exiles kind of is their breakout hit, if there is a breakout hit. Let's go ahead and kill this one and kill this one. Conan Exiles probably suffers a little bit from being split between console players and PC players, and frankly it's still too much, as I understand it, an open world Minecraft ripoff, in a point now where Minecraft ripoffs aren't gonna sell, and it would have been better if they had drastically shifted it to more of a single player experience using the assets that they had, and trying to have more of a directed experience. Of course, I've only really seen people play it in early access, so maybe there is a single player storyline experience now that it's out of early access, but if there is, I haven't heard anybody talk about it. 25 achievements, $39.99, but if you want the Barbarian Edition, you're going to have to pay $59.99 full price. They're saying more servers are coming and more servers are coming, so apparently servers issues are a thing. And let's see what the vast majority of the most recent negative reviews are. Let's see. Even after the 1.0 patch, the NPC and animal pathing is horrible. Both NPCs and animals spawn halfway in the ground, path on to environments, and are glitched so badly they can't be killed. The combat is nice, but the swings that should impact miss, and it is next to impossible to change directions mid-attack without interrupting with a dodge of some sort. There's also a lot of hype for such a buggy release. I hope there's a lot of fixes coming soon. And inherently, I'll have to editorialize here. If you're saying your game is out of early access, you should have fixed all the bugs by now. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. The next not recommended says, thanks a lot. Me and my friend were playing on a PvE conflict server. It was good because we had So somebody's complaining that they ended up on a PvE conflict server. Next not recommended is you can't play it. Next not recommended is bait and switch. They removed the removal of PvE conflict server after 24 hours feels like a kick in the balls. Don't want to play a game where they can change the whole rule set of the server at the drop of a hat. Here's an interesting not recommended for Conan Exiles, since Conan Exiles has been out in early access and people have been YouTubing and streaming it for months now. The game has taken one of the most vibrant sword and sorcery universes and launched completely without the sorcery features they taunted at the beginning of early access. That's half the setting gone. That's the antagonist in most Conan novels turned into a wizened old man with a sour expression. Conan Exiles doesn't come close to living up to the promises pitched during early access and doesn't have the gameplay variety of competing survival games, and doesn't bring Hyboria to life through story or setting as it was intended to. Instead, we have yet another PvP-centric group-focused survival game, this time with floppy genitals and bare nipples as the highlight of the experience. And I think I tend to agree with that. As somebody who's not even a fan of the Conan series, like, I've seen a couple of the movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's as much as I know. If you are a fan of the Conan stories and books, you're probably horribly unsatisfied with Conan Exiles. Sadly, you're probably also horribly unsatisfied with every other Conan game that's ever been made. And I really do want to see somebody get this license and do something good with it. It's probably not worth the license to write a fantasy world like that, because you could probably do the same thing anyways without the Conan license and not get sued. Conan Exiles should have been something like Skyrim, except for barbarians instead of Vikings, and it really isn't. I would have never made it open world. I would have never made it a survival game. Those are just buzzwords that should have never been in a Conan game. Moving on, I suppose Rock Paper Shotgun has an article, The Roulette Knight as an RPG meets Russian roulette. Sounds like an interesting concept. Is it on Steam? Let's see. It's 2D graphics. Let's see. You can play the game for free. It is just you're playing as a knight with a gun who's playing Russian roulette. And it seems like you're not even playing against anybody, and it really looks like it's just a clicker game. It was made at the Londonderry Game Jam. And see, this is why I don't feel like game jams add anything to the video game industry at all. Is people just make these simple, short games, and sure, if you find it, you can go and play it, but like, it's never going to be sold on Steam, and meanwhile Steam is getting flooded with worse quality games than what this probably is, for no real reason. So like, I'm on the website now, it's just, I don't even know how to play. I put a bullet in, and then you can either spin the barrel or not spin the barrel. Or maybe you don't spin the barrel anyways. And so I just shot myself, and it just went through my head. Yeah, I just put all 6 bullets in and shot myself and died. Yeah, it's really not much of a game. It's not really worth talking about, frankly. During some game jam, somebody made a game where you play Russian roulette, and it's just a clicker game. Like, that doesn't add anything to the video game industry. Like, you could never sell an actual game like that. It probably wouldn't even be allowed on Steam. Come to think of it, it might just be a game built around playing Russian roulette is not acceptable. Next game we do have on Steam is called Trailblazers, and it's from a developer called Supergonk, which sounds like a company that would have made some other games, but according to Steam, it's their first release. Came out May 8th, 10% off for $26.99. Now, this looks very much like it is a F-Zero racing game. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've even seen this game before, where it's very pretty. It's got some unique designs of kind of hover cars. It's got, it seems, at least 2 or 3 tracks. Maybe we can get some more details there. It requires a controller to play. Let's see. Multiple game modes are single player and multiplayer, local multiplayer, online co-op. Let's see. Online. I don't know if there's a online multiplayer that's not co-op. Let's keep playing. Let's see. You paint the track in Trailblazers. Yes, this is the Splatoon-like game where you paint the track and it speeds up. But there's nothing here that tells me how many different tracks there are. But I can't say anything negative, and there's only 2 negative things. The one not recommended in English is every time you launch a game, settings are reset and progress is erased. Major bug, no word from the developer, so maybe wait a little bit. But meanwhile, I think Trailblazers is definitely going on my wish list if it isn't already there. I suspect it already is there. Let's see. Play this, and this, and then the turn. Next game we have is called Axe AIK''S Cheese Adventure. It has no reviews. It's from a developer who's made a handful of other games. It looks like a mobile game. It's an indie casual. And let's see. And it's very much an incredible machine style mobile game where there's a mouse with a balloon on it and you're trying to somehow manipulate the mouse to get to the cheese and possibly get out through the mouse hole. 40% off for $2.39. That's way too expensive. 28 levels. That's way too few. Let's go ahead and play this. Let's see. And of course there's no reviews for this game because I don't think anybody's dumb enough to pay that much money for what looks like a cell phone port. Steam is going to release a new version of its mobile app so that you can stream games to your iPhone, Android tablet. In concept, it would be cool, but you probably also need a Bluetooth controller, which is going to be an issue. And they kind of want you to be on a wired Ethernet on your tablet, which that doesn't make a lot of sense either. So, like, there's definitely going to be some scenarios where you try to stream a game from your main computer to your wireless router to your tablet or your cell phone, and it's just gonna not look good. Well, there was a free victory. I wish that was a ranked victory. That would have been easier. Let's see. Gematsu has an article that says Bullet Girls Fantasia launches August 9th in Japan. Let's switch over to the Americas account and see what this game is. No, it doesn't go unnoticed that half of Japanese games are centered around girls or have girls in the name. Not that it's a bad thing. Although this one does look like it's a PS4, PS Vita. Says it's a third-person shooter. But it's also main screenshot. The first thing I even saw of this game was a groping game. It looks like that they love to add to their Japanese only releases, and now they've gotten to the point where they're not even. I need somebody on the Americas to challenge me, so hopefully this person will leave his tavern brawl at some point and I can challenge a friend. Meanwhile, I'll do this tavern brawl. What was the other thing I needed to play? Rogue class cards. Alright, we'll try Rogue while we're here. Yeah, there's nothing else really to say about Bullet Girls Fantasia until there is actually some information. Let's see. Gematsu has an article. Action Maker MV announced for PC a tool to create 16-bit console quality 2D action games. This is different from the game that we looked at before. I'm pretty certain this game is well, it says development is currently 70% complete, and I'm fairly certain what we'll find is that Action Game Maker MV will be the same, from the same company that made RPG Maker, and it'll probably be of the same quality. There is an image here. It was talked about in Famitsu, which is a popular magazine. Let's see. So I guess you can't use these on anything but eggs. Okay, that's good to know. Says Action Game Maker will let you make side view and top down view games. It's going to be Windows only with commercial use allowed, which means we're look forward to a bunch of Action Maker games, because that will be the next thing, almost certainly. Yeah, I am not happy with the thought that there will be a ton of new Action Maker, the RPG Maker-esque games coming out, but I guess they'll be pretty easy to recognize too. Moving on, Eurogamer has an article, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze Switch sales show why these ports of Wii U games exist. Apparently it sold very well. I don't think I really need to. Well, the top 10 list here of sales says God of War was #1 and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze was number number 2, with Far Cry and FIFA 18 being 3 and 4, and then Mario Kart Deluxe, and then Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2, then Fallout 4, then PUBG, and then Star Wars Battlefront 2, and then Super Mario Odyssey. I wouldn't have thought Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2 would have sold so well, but I guess with the movie Avengers Infinity. Gematsu has another article, Warriors Orochi, that's OROCHI 4, will be released on the PS4, Switch, and PC, and has 170 playable characters. Let's see. The Warriors game is one of those mass crowd beat 'em up games. They recently came out with one that was not very popular, Dynasty Warriors style games. Like the Warrior series is in part the Dynasty Warrior series. Let's see, kill this one and kill this one, and then in the turn I'm pretty sure this one's gonna die. So the hope would be that they've righted the ship and Warriors Orochi 4 will be a very good Warriors game to make up for the last Dynasty Warriors series. I played 1 or 2 games that were Warriors games. They're alright. They're kind of arthritic causing though. It's just tons of button mashing that is not really welcome these days. Worse than QuickTime events when you just are button mashing like crazy. Moving on, Gematsu has a article, Jake Hunter Detective Story Prism of Eyes has been announced for the PS4 and Switch. This hard-boiled adventure game series returns to new platforms. I've never heard of it before, so it may never have come to the West. It'll launch August 9th in Japan. It probably... I get it. There's a good chance it won't come to the West, though. And that's. But then there's kind of a bit of a chance that it will, because there hasn't been too much craziness lately. Attack here. Gamasutra has an article, a blog called Negotiating Game Deals 10 Tips from a Video Game Lawyer. This ought to be interesting. Tip 1, get a letters of intent. Tip 2, avoid bad templates. uh, or you're going to get a bunch of bad templates. Tip 3 is speak to legal early. Tip 4 is timing. Tip 5 is get the right stakeholders involved. Tip 6 is decide a negotiating approach. Tip 7 is decide a negotiating method. Tip 8 is confront problems early. Tip 9 is assess the whole deal. And tip 10 is question yourself. I imagine there's been a large number of poor quality deals done in the video game industry. The about me for this blog says I'm an interactive entertainment lawyer at Purewell and Partners in London, specializing in commercial deals, negotiation, IP protection, and regulatory compliance. I spent a large portion of the last 3 years advising clients on a variety of video game deals, development, publishing, co-development, licensing, and porting, ranging from indie to AAA, and have the absolute privilege of working alongside a bunch of the most interesting names in games today. Notice how he didn't name any of his clients at all, which I suppose is pretty typical. From the bullet points, though, this article doesn't seem too bad. Of course, how many people really are going to negotiate video game deals? Probably not too many that are listening right now. Well, that's a good point to break up this recording. We got 3 rogue class cards. We're trying to challenge a friend, which we can do. Oh, no. Oh, I missed it. Well, we'll try that again. That's going to be it for this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. If you want to support me even further, gift me a game on Steam. Right now I'm pushing for people to give me the Season 1 through 7 Pro Packs of Pinball Arcade, because those are going away on June 30th, probably to never be seen again. Thank you for watching.